Waterbury, Connecticut has one of the most extensive Lithuanian districts in United States that is still surviving. So what buildings are there? Let's start from the Lithuanian Church. Why is it important?
The Lithuanian Church is there. It's probably the most important because it was the first church that the Lithuanians built in Connecticut and pretty much New England. It was the very first church established. And the reason to hold on to it is simply put because of its importance to the Lithuanian community and the symbolism of it. And that's one of the buildings there. There used to be a school that was built opposite from it. That is no longer there, but the main school building that was built about 25 years after the church was built is the next most important building. The convent that was built in early 1962 or thereabouts is also important as part of that whole area. Behind that is what was once used as the Knights of Lithuania meeting rooms, club rooms, and everything, which was a house moved where the school was built so that they wouldn't lose it. And then anything that was surrounding, where the club burnt down, the former Lithuanian Club, there's a wish that that could be rebuilt. I don't know if that will ever happen. But then the other building up the street, which was at one time also a Lithuanian club, though it's no longer owned by Lithuanians, is also important historically because that denotes part of the area that the Lithuanians settled in the Brooklyn part of Waterbury, which seemed to be the part where every new immigrant wave in Waterbury first started and then would continue out from there. But the Lithuanians were the last ones in and remained in Brooklyn. But then the flood of 1955 and the highway construction in 1964 took half of that away, and many of those people traveled out of Waterbury never to return. And that is what brought some of the area down too.
Indeed, for us at global.lithuania.com, it is especially impressive how many Lithuanian details remain in those buildings. Like, for example, a Lithuanian school has Vytis at its entrance.
Yes.
And also Lithuanian slogan, Dievas ir tėvynė, God and Homeland above one of its doors. And the Lithuanian Church has many Lithuanian inscriptions on all of its stained glass windows.
Yes.
And in the former parish house or convent, there are stained glass windows by a famous Lithuanian author, Mr. Joninas. And nearby Green Street has 3 Lithuanian clubs. Well, it had 3 Lithuanian clubs,
yes.
So this is very impressive indeed, a unique area full of Lithuanian heritage. But Waterbury also has one important Lithuanian site away from the center, and that's Lithuanian Cemetery. And what's important about it?
Well, the Lithuanian Cemetery, just as a little history of it, it was established originally by non-believers and atheists and so-called leftists, or at the time, not even communists, but, and as that population was buried in the cemetery and things changed, the cemetery ownership was in peril and another organization established itself to take it over. A priest came in to bless the land, to bless the cemetery, and the Lithuanians, not all of them, but many of them, continue to get buried there. There are other Lithuanian grave sites throughout other cemeteries in Waterbury, but many of the wave that came after World War II, a good half of them, I would say, are buried in this Lithuanian cemetery. And what's important is that this be continued, saved for posterity. There's still at least half the cemetery that isn't used. And we're hoping that as time goes along, God willing, that we continue to, well, we don't want to ask for burials to happen all the time, but we're hoping it never falls into hands where it would be lost. And all the history that goes with the people that are buried there, from the first wave to the second wave and even third wave, gets lost. and is no longer part of us.
Indeed, we hope also that the Lithuanian district and cemetery will continue to exist, and we have marked all these places at map.lithuania.com map of Lithuanian heritage sites. And there are other such Lithuanian districts and Lithuanian churches and Lithuanian cemeteries all over the United States of America, especially the eastern part. So I invite you to discover all these sites at map.lithuania.com, and if you are interested in such interviews with people who create and safeguard these sites, then follow this YouTube channel.